Welcome to the Women Writing Podcast. I'm your book coach, Liisa Kovala. I'm an author, accelerator, certified fiction and memoir book coach, and the author of Sisters Winter War, Surviving Stutthof, and the upcoming Like Water for Weary Souls. And as a Finnish Canadian, I love my coffee. Take a coffee break with us as we chat about all things writerly with authors and publishing industry professionals. In today's episode of Women Writing, I'm having a coffee break with Natalie Pollson. She's a writer and newly certified book coach. She helps women writing historical and speculative fiction who feel stuck in their creative process get their story from their heart, out of their head, and onto the page. Natalie's past lives include homeschooling mom, a policy advocacy specialist for the right to education in the world's poorest countries, an ESL teacher, and a student of anthropology. She now lives in Ottawa in a family steeped in story, filmmakers, musicians, gamers, and jokesters alike. Most days you'll find her researching her latest novel with a cup of double bergamot Earl Grey and her golden retriever at her feet. Hi, Natalie. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm about to head into parent-teacher interviews this afternoon. So,
Oh, I know all about that. From the other end, though, the teacher end. How do you feel
yeah,
about it?
I feel good. My youngest son, this is his second year of high school. He's in grade 10, but he was homeschooled between grade 3 and 8. So yeah, it's hard for me to like extract myself as his educator
Yes. Yeah.
and
But
just
I
be his
think
parent.
parents are always the first educators, right? Like even if they haven't homeschooled their kids, but you just had that additional role of being the teacher as well. So makes sense, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll be good. It'll be fine.
Good. I know that's always, I mean, I'm kind of happy not to have to do those interviews anymore, but I just remember being nervous about them and then always just having a really pleasant evening with folks because people are just nice and they want to talk about their kids and it's just lovely. So, and I loved it when the kids came too, because sometimes they didn't, but that was always fun. But yeah, I'm so delighted you could join me for a coffee break today. Is there anything in particular you're taking a coffee break from?
I am really proud of myself and I got writing done this morning.
Amazing.
And then I was getting ready for our podcast. I have a goal to get my website up and running by tomorrow. So that's like the next thing on my list to tackle
Amazing.
today.
Amazing. So do you have a regular writing routine? Are you a person who writes every day or do you try to like schedule it in at certain times of the week or how does that work for you?
I did have a regular writing routine. The book that I'm writing now is a challenge, and I had put it aside for a while, which wasn't a necessarily a bad thing, but I'm fine trying to find that routine again in all of the shifts and all of the family obligations, and I do like to write every day, or I like to touch my book every day. Um, It doesn't always happen. Earlier is better. I'm not a morning person, but I do suffer from chronic fatigue. And if I let it go too long, then
Yeah.
the, you know, yeah. And the kids get home early and stuff starts happening. And so I do try to do it in the morning,
Yeah.
if I can.
Are you a person who keeps some people have a spreadsheet for word count or they have some kind of tracker for how like do you have any of those kinds of goals or markers along the way while you're writing or it's just kind of
More
go
in my
roll with it?
head. I mean, I used to be able to pull off 1,000 words a day. Maybe not quite in an hour, but in an hour and a half. And I'm feeling a little bit, um, despite everything I know to be true, I'm feeling poorly that I'm not there right now, that I'm hovering at around 500 words. Um, so I have a kind of internal goal, and every once in a while I check in on my word count, but it's not, I'm not a person, numbers don't mean a lot to me. Like when someone says grapes were whatever price at the grocery store, I'm like, is that good? Because
I
I don't
100%
know.
agree. I don't know any of those things either.
And clearly that comes from a place of privilege, but also because numbers don't mean the same
Right.
to me as
Yeah.
they do to other people. So Yeah.
Yeah. I feel
I
the
can deal
same
with
way.
500 and 1,000.
Yeah, yeah. Like what's the difference? I don't know. Sometimes I
Yeah.
start a tracker to keep a word count and then I soon abandon it because I'm like looking at the page, I'm like, okay. Like it doesn't make me
Yeah.
feel more motivated or proud or it doesn't make me feel anything really. I mean, you like to see the progress, but also I'm not sure. Like so I like it if that motivates them, great, do it. But yeah, I've tried that. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I'm
I
doing
do
it
the
wrong.
same. I'll like try to keep a record or a little like color in thing
Yeah.
and then I just abandon it because it doesn't mean anything. I did this morning look at my word count and think I'm working in two documents for two different timelines and I looked at it and thought, "Oh, I'm about I have a third of the book done
Yeah.
in this document."
Yes.
I more if you combine the two. But it was a good measure. Sorry, there's a part of my brain that's going sideways thinking I only know fractions because I had to teach them to my children.
Right.
I didn't know them before that,
100%.
except for baking.
Yeah.
So yes, there was a part of me that just was able to kind of calibrate and think I have, this many kind of big scenes left that I want to do, and it seems about right. And so in that sense, I'm kind of like tracking, but not every day. And,
Yeah.
words on the page are words on the page. You're one step closer. So,
Agreed. I've been using lately a program called Atticus while I've been writing the Cozy Mystery. So it's a new program to me. And what I do like is it had like you can set a word count goal and it will calculate what percentage you are at. And so it does that for you. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like that is kind of motivating to see, oh, okay, I'm at this percentage. Okay. I mean, of course you might change your word count at the end. It doesn't really matter, but I'm the same as you. Like I don't the individual day by day thing too hard to keep track of and it doesn't mean enough, I think. What can you tell us a little bit about the book you're writing?
I think I can.
Okay.
I am writing a book that I wasn't expecting to write. I found this book. This book found me while I was doing research for a different novel. Um, and so do you want the longer story? Because I love a longer
There,
story.
I love a long story.
Um, I was writing a book that needed to have an astronomer from the 1800s. And so, as one does, I was taking a course at the University of Arizona on the history and philosophy of astronomy, just to kind of figure out like what would this person be looking at? What would they know? I know nothing about astronomy, so it makes perfect sense to write a book
Of
with a
course.
character who's an
As
astronomer.
yeah.
And as the professor was, I don't know, we were like halfway through the course, and he started talking about Johannes Kepler, who we have Kepler's laws of planetary motion. He was the first to kind of build a theory to prove Copernicus right. Anyway, he just casually mentioned in his presentation that Johannes Kepler's mother had been accused of witchcraft and that he had mounted her defense. And even now, when I tell you that, I have the same sensation that I did when I heard it, which is a very visceral, like tingly, like a settling into my body. And when I heard that story, I thought, oh, that's my book. That's my witch book. Because I love a witch book.
Me too.
Um,
So
and so, yeah, I just knew I had to tell that story. I very quickly realized that someone had just written that novel.
oh, okay.
And I read it, and it was, very good, but I have a very different approach
Yeah.
that I want to take. And, there's room for all of our stories. So I waffled for a minute, but I forged ahead. And yeah, I'm just in love with the story. But writing historical fiction, I thought writing historical fiction with real people and real events would somehow be easier. It is not. It is so much harder. And so there's been some struggles around that. Yeah.
That's fascinating. I love that well, first of all, I love that you were like, oh, I think I'll just take an astronomy course because, right? Yeah, why not? Learn some things. And I love a good course, like in anything, because it's, like a lifelong learner. And that whole idea that your body recognized that story as being like, like I feel that too. Like you just have that feeling or sense that this is interesting or something, there's a spark there. So I love that you had this sort of visceral experience when you heard about her. And I think that, I love astronomy too, but I love a good witch story. So this whole thing sounds so fascinating to me, and I'm sure many others.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of historical record about well-known figures defending family members in witchcraft trials. Also, I think that there is probably a part of me as the mom of two teenage boys who kind of thinks, well, isn't that lovely that he came to, the defense of his mother and they didn't have the greatest relationship. So I'm pitching it as a bit of a mother-son redemptive love story. Um, but I think I can feel that there are things in my life that are finding their way into this book, just about being a mother and and trying to know a parent who is in some ways always going to be unknowable to you, and how these two kind of people dance around each other. So I love the story. I hope that I can do it justice in the way that it lives in my head.
I know. That's incredible. And I'm a total historical fiction junkie, so it's just right up my alley. And I'm sure there's going to be a ton of readers who are just going to be fascinated by that story. So we're all just waiting over here for it, Natalie. No pressure. We'll be patient.
Trying.
When were you always a writer? Did you write from the time you were a kid, or is that something that came to you a little bit later in life?
I mean, it's a bit of a strange thing. I was a storyteller as a child. I remember talking about the novels that I would write, my cousin Courtney and I. I remember when we were quite young, making up all kinds of stories. And I did write, but I often had the sense that I didn't have anything to say.
Right.
I knew that writing was the best thing that I knew how to do, but I didn't know what to write. And I was never a person that felt compelled to write every day. I would love to be that person, but I'm not. And then I think academics kind of kicked the snuff out of me in terms of creativity for a long while. Um, and still, I started dabbling a little bit more in writing groups and working on some things, but I still had that sense that I don't know what to say. I don't know what to write. Um, and I think a big part of that was actually fear. What if I wasn't good at the one thing that I was really good at? And I
Mm.
still have that fear. But yeah, so it wasn't until the year I turned 40, on my 40th birthday, I had an injury where I broke my foot, but like destroyed my foot
Wow.
and needed surgery. And I lived in a hospital bed downstairs in the living room for about 6 months as I rehabilitated. And there was this story that just poured out of me, and it was like trying to catch it as fast as I could to get it down on paper. Um, and I haven't looked back. Well, I shouldn't say I haven't looked back since. What I should say is I wrote a mammoth draft, not having a clue what I was doing. Some really good intuition about reading, but no craft really. Um, and when I was done, this 200,000 word family saga, I didn't know what to do with it. And so I tried editing it, but I did I made the mistake that so many writers make, which is to just do like surface line edits, make it prettier, maybe cut some paragraphs,
Right.
tighten up some descriptions, but I didn't understand the editing process. And so I sent it off for a manuscript assessment, and I got a very detailed 26-page report that had a lot of good things to say in retrospect. But it really sidelined me. I didn't know how to move forward at all. I knew that some of the suggestions she made were not my vision of this story. And I had the sense also that I had somehow been gifted this story, and to make big changes to it would be to somehow dishonor that gift, which I now recognize the importance of authorial control. But that's where I was. And at the same time, things were happening in life. I was much better. I decided to homeschool the kids. And so that book went in a drawer where it sat for years and years and years. I think maybe 5 years, 4 years, 5 years. And it wasn't until I was taking a course on passion-led learning and the coach said something about, I don't know, like, what are you doing to show leadership to your family about passion-led learning? And I thought, am I allowed to swear?
100%.
I thought, oh, fuck. I am going to have to finish this book because my kids every day, would come home from school and mommy was writing this book and they would ask about it and they would hear other people talking about it because my friends and family kind of were reading as I wrote, which is not an experience I would repeat, although it was very supportive and wonderful then. Um, and I just thought, well, what am I showing them if this book continues to sit in the drawer? Um, And so that was it. I decided for them that I was going to put myself on the line. I was going to face this fear that I had that was holding me back, and I was going to study. And I joined a writing program, and then I went from a person who would rather like stick a fork in my eye than learn about character arcs to just being insatiable
Right.
in wanting to know all the things. And so yeah, here I am. And writing is just it's everything now.
Yeah. That's an incredible story. I love that the coach expressed it in that way and I truly believe that like our kids see what we do and don't do and how we approach things and model like we're modeling for them. So the fact that you went back to it is, just says so much to them about what's possible and what like and to follow those dreams, artistic dreams you have, or whatever it is that you're interested in doing, that just go for it, right? And I think sometimes we learn that a lot later in life than I wish we learned that when we're young, but somehow it takes time to get there, I think, for a lot of us, for me anyway.
Yeah. No, certainly it does take some time. And I do hope that I've modeled something. There are also times when I'm like, go away, I'm writing,
Yeah.
which maybe is, the pendulum has swung in the other direction in terms of parenting. But yeah, I hope that I've showed them something about what it takes to persevere, what it takes um, to chase a dream, and how it's not always easy, and it does take work, and it often looks easy when other people are doing it. Um, yeah, when I was querying and would get rejection letters, I would announce it to the family to as a way of like celebrating that every no is in its own way a success because I had put myself out there. Do I truly feel like that in my heart? Not every day. But again, I wanted them to have that sense of like,
Yeah,
you got to do it.
that's right.
You
Yeah.
got to do it.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And even that the when you mentioned, when you're working and you're like, okay, I need this time, go away. I even think that is like putting boundaries around your time and saying, okay, this is important to me and you need to da da da. And that reminds them that, yeah, I can take time for myself to do things too, right? This is my time and I can protect it because this, whatever it is important to me. So I do think even those things are like sometimes as parents, we're like, oh, feel a bit bad about that, but also there's a positive aspects to it too. So,
I think so too. I hope so. We live in a time of extreme mothering, which is a whole
mhm.
other podcast.
Yeah, for sure.
So, there's a lot of guilt put on us for doing the things that fuel us, that allow us to be full people. But I do think, I mean, in some regards, I wish I had a daughter. I love my sons dearly, but I also wish I had a daughter who could see that boundary that I'm placing on my time and the thing that I love and really want to do, so that she could learn from it. It's an important lesson for my sons to learn, but I think it's a critical lesson for our daughters to learn.
100%. Yeah, I think that's incredibly powerful. I'm just thinking about my family who my kids are grown now, like they're 22 and 25. Um, but we're all creative people in the family. And I used to do a lot of performances for rhythmic gymnastics because I had a group and we performed a lot. And then my daughter was involved in performing, and my husband's a musician. So we had a lot of events where we went to. And my little guy, I think he might have been about 4 or 5. And we went to this something in Niagara Falls where there was like horses and there was some kind of a performance, and we were all sitting on these benches to watch this performance. And he looked at us and he says, well, who's supposed to be over there? Like one of us was supposed to be performing, because
Oh,
he'd never been to a show where one of us wasn't part of the show. And so now he's an actor.
I love
And
that.
so, you know what I mean? Like you just don't know what they're absorbing, because for him it was absolutely natural that we as family members are going to be on stage. Like that's just things we do. So it was
I think
so
that's
funny.
amazing.
Like,
I
no, we're
love
not
that
in
so
this show,
much.
honey.
We're just going to enjoy this one.
Yeah, we're just going to sit back and do it. Um, so your journey from writing and being absorbed in that turned into doing the author accelerator book coaching program, the same program I did. What brought you to that? How did you find it, and what made you go, oh, this is for me?
Yeah. When I was in my writing program, I was so frequently kind of pinged in our internal messaging board with people who, other, sorry, perimenopause steals my words.
100%, me too. All
I'm
the
just going to
time.
throw that out there.
Yeah,
Uh,
we all
Pinged
relate.
by other, I don't want to say students, but like the word compatriots comes to
Yeah.
mind. That's not right either. Other people, other
Yes.
writers, would ping me and want to, um, chat about their stories, ask me questions, comment on something that I had said in a meeting that, and I freaking loved it. I love talking to people about their stories, about their books. It just, my brain is on fire when I hear someone talking about their stories. It's so much easier to see kind of the big picture of someone else's story than it is to see your own.
Hmm.
But I really got so much out of those experiences and those conversations. And even some of the coaches and mentors who were part of that program would sometimes say that they really appreciated my, like, what I brought to the group. And then someone, I had never heard of Author Accelerator, and someone mentioned to me that the training program and said, "Oh, you would be a great coach." And of course, I had all of the usual imposter syndrome kind of come up, and but I looked into it and I had a call with Jenny, and Jenny is Jenny Nash from Author Accelerator, and she's very good at walking people through that imposter syndrome that we all feel. And I decided to go for it. One, because um, I really love the work, and I feel like I'm good at it. Um, which, when you've spent years homeschooling and parenting, there's not a lot you feel good about. There's not a lot of days where people say, like, good job.
Your
So
8 year old
it's
doesn't
nice.
say, oh, I love that lesson. Great
Yeah,
feedback.
right. So it's nice to like have something in your life that is fulfilling and also maybe gets you, at the end of the day, you feel like you've accomplished something and you've done a good thing. But also, as my kids transitioned into formal high school and left homeschooling, I knew I didn't want to go back to my previous career. And so I was kind of, yeah. thinking, what is the thing until someone gives me multiple six-figure advances? What is the thing that will keep me in this writing world as many hours of the day as possible,
Right.
um, that I can do to earn a little bit of money? And at the same time, also continue learning because every time we have a client, every time we coach someone, I learned so much from that process.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, like such magic that you come to the table with your own background and skills and all the training and years of reading and writing, and then somebody comes with a manuscript or an idea for something, and it's just like fresh again. It's all
Yeah.
new, and it's like amazing relationship that you can foster with your clients and
Well, and you're an
obviously writing.
educator. I kind of think of it as, did you ever study Vygotsky? Um,
No.
he was a theorist, um, because I have a graduate degree in education, but he was a theorist who talked about, it's this horrible term called the zone of proximal development,
Okay.
which is like every person has a certain capacity to achieve something by themselves.
Okay.
And then there's like this zone of proximal development on top of that, which is their capacity to achieve something with mentorship, with, um, yeah, with someone in helping them or working with them. And so, of course, that how big that zone is, and it's different for everyone. But I think about coaching in that sense, that there's a certain amount that we can do on our own, and often it's a lot, and it's great. But every book that we read is not just the product of an author's imagination and grit and, and skill and craft, but of the people who have supported them along that journey. And book coaches are one of those people who can really help an author tap into that next level of what can you achieve when you work in collaboration with someone else.
Yeah, amazing. I love that idea. And I
Let's
think,
rename it though, because it's
yeah, I
horrible.
think that is a terrible name. I'll never remember it, but I'll remember the idea of it. But it's so true. Like I even have after having written several books, I'm still seeking out coaching when I need it, like at certain stages in the process. And part of it is just being accountable to somebody, just knowing there's a deadline. That alone, because like we were talking earlier about you know, trying to get words in and put maybe make a writing schedule. Some people it's every day, some people not. But when you have a deadline for a course or for a book coach or whatever, something about that is like, oh no, I have to actually do this. I can't just think about it, oh, I'll do it later.
Yeah, no, for sure. Having that accountability is huge. The other thing I think is interesting, and our colleague Trisha says this on her own website. She works with romance writers, and she says, sometimes just paying money for something
That's true.
also is like
Yes.
a huge motivator to get it done.
That's really true. Even when if you think about all kinds of things like joining a gym or joining a fitness class or whatever it is, when you put the money down, you're much more likely to be like, okay, I gotta go because
Yeah,
if you're just doing it in your house, like I try to do, it doesn't always happen. There's no
yeah.
one there checking to make sure that I'm doing my work. No, it's so good. So when you're working with authors, I know we have our book coaching community, which I love, Book Coaches Canada, and you remember we many of us from across Canada are involved. And I know we were talking at a previous meeting about your niche because that's one thing that we're all asked to kind of think about is who are we serving and what are we um the kind of writers that we want to work with or maybe genres or whatever. So and you've been fairly newly certified within the
Yes.
last couple months.
Yep. 2 months.
Exciting. Congratulations. For anyone who's done this program, it's pretty intense. It's like it's full on and it's a lot of there's 3 practicums that we have to pass and it's a lot, but it's I think really valuable learning. So now you're at this stage where you've entered into the out of the training and into the world of book coaching.
Arena.
Yeah, the arena. Sounds like we're gladiators.
Right.
Um, so have you come across now I think I have a sense of what you want to coach and the kinds of genres you're interested in. Can you tell us a little bit about that and why you're going that direction?
Yeah, I do want to point out the obvious to anyone watching that my light that I stole from my son has died. So
Oh,
now I'm really dark, but
as
that's
it
okay.
happens.
It's a podcast.
That's
So,
right.
yeah, so I have a sense, I mean, I want to coach the kinds of books that I love to read. That just makes perfect sense. Um, General historical fiction, I'm always a fan of kind of untold stories of women. That's, my jam, whether they're fictional or based on real people. But I just could live in historical fiction forever. And then adjacent to that, I really love speculative fiction, which is often the kind that I read historical, although not always. So speculative fiction, the kind of low end of the fantasy spectrum, like magical realism, Gothic fiction, mythical and fairy tale retellings. I love all of that stuff. A good witch story, obviously, either historical or fantastical. That's my jam. And so those are the kinds of books that I would like to work with. I would really like to work with women writers because again, that's what I read. I read books written by women. My life is full of men and I love them, but I don't need to hear from another one. And that's like hashtag, controversial opinion, hot take. So I mostly read books written by women. And also, I think I have something to lend women who are trying to fit writing into their very busy lives and schedules. So there's that. Um, Right now, as I go into things, I'm trying to feel my way into what feels best. I love a manuscript assessment. Um, I would really love to work with people in the revision stage. And I purposely call it the revision stage and not editing because it wasn't until I was however many adult years old that someone broke down the word revision for me, like to revision, to have a new vision or a reimagining of your book. And that exploded my brain because I was thinking of it like editing. So I'd really like to work with people in the revision stage because I don't want anyone to feel the way I felt when I had that first manuscript assessment, which was, here's all the things, and then feel completely paralyzed and not know how to move forward with that. I think it's a place where writers can use a lot of accompaniment because sometimes, not always, sometimes writing a first draft is easy, especially when it's your first one and you kind of tap into flow and you get it all down and you don't know what you don't know. And so the story spills out. But knowing then what to do with it, I've heard so many writers say that books are written in the editing stage. And when I was a new writer, I didn't understand what that meant until I slogged through many, many drafts of stories, and I totally agree. That's where the craft comes in, and helping people get to that stage or helping them work through that stage, I think would be so rewarding. I don't want to limit myself right now to just working with people in revision, but that's my passion, I think.
I love that so much. Um, I mean, and it speaks to like that when you were 6 months working, kind of, I don't want to say stationary, but like you're kind of confined and working on that really long manuscript. That it was probably in some ways the inroads to writing, right? To just do it, like just get started, just do it, just write. And so I imagine that editorial letter you received from that person would have been really hard to read initially. And I mean, if it was me, I'd probably cry a little bit. And then also cling on to the things that that the parts that were positive. But I think that's one thing writers who are beginning don't understand is they don't know what craft they don't know yet. Like we don't just don't know. Like we have a story and we're telling it and we know how to tell it in a like actually a tell way and not a show way. And so it takes time and effort to learn the craft. And just like any other profession, like you can't go and like I know something about, I don't know, the hand, but then I can't do hand surgery. Like I can't
Right?
just jump in
I've
and
got
do
one,
that.
two.
It would go really badly.
I heard an interview with, I have like seven different things I want to say right now, but I heard an interview with Bonnie Garmis, who wrote Lessons in Chemistry.
Mm.
And she was talking about an Olympian who had written a memoir, and it was not, nobody was interested. No agents were picking it up. And so I don't know why her, if they were at an event together. I have no idea how this conversation came to happen, but he was lamenting to her that, he had written this great memoir, he had this inspiring life story, like why was no one interested? And I'm totally gonna misquote, but she said something to him to the equivalent of, how many hours did you train to be an Olympian? And he said whatever he said. And then she said, how many hours did you train to be a writer? And I think that there is, because writing is something we do every day, and because we are surrounded by story, and so much of storytelling is intuitive, because we're surrounded by it every day, our entire lives, there's something that seems easy about it, and it's not. And the number of people who say, "Oh yeah, I've always wanted to write a novel," or um, I did have someone say to me once, "How hard could it be?"
I don't know, go try.
Yeah, right. So, yeah, I just think I've totally lost my train of thought.
No, but
But
I
that's the
love
Bonnie
that so
Garma
much.
story.
Yeah, it'll come back to you. I'm so appreciative of that because I that happens to me all the time lately. I know it's menopause. However, and I am also losing my thoughts. So I was gonna add something to that. Um, but yeah, just that idea that folks aren't aware that they need to learn to be able to do the craft. And I think maybe in some ways it's okay if you aren't equipped to just start because then you soon realize that you don't know what you're doing. And
Yeah.
then you sign up for a class and then you go to course and then you get a mentor or whatever you're going to do, get a book coach. But it concerns me when folks write a whole book and they think, "Oh, I'll just have somebody proofread it now." And they haven't done the work and they haven't studied craft and they really don't know. And I think, sure, you can be very proud to have done that draft and gotten to the end and putting everything down. And if it's for you and your family, by all means. But if you want it to be published or you want it to be out in the world, then maybe we need to do a few more steps before we get it there.
And here's a little bit of industry gossip that I do not know is true,
Okay. Yeah.
but I have heard that so many agents will close to queries in the month of December because of the number of people who go through NaNoWriMo and then start
Oh,
pitching as if
yeah.
this kind of first draft that they did a month-long sprint to
Right.
capture, as if it's kind of ready for the world. And I, again, don't know that that's
Yeah.
true, but it kind of makes
It
sense.
feels true.
Yeah.
It feels
And no
like it's
shade to
probably
those
a thing.
people. No shade to those people
Yeah.
who did this thing and have this story and are proud and should be proud because it's
Right.
hard freaking work.
Yeah,
But they
absolutely.
don't know what they don't know. They
That's it.
don't know that they haven't even had time to step back and really, let it all settle.
Yeah.
And then to look at it with fresh eyes and try to make it into a thing that is potentially publishable. So yeah, I don't mean to disparage anyone who's gone
Oh,
that route, but
yeah.
yeah,
And I'm sure there is that one or two, like two examples of folks who did that November writing thing came up with something, polished it up, sent it out, and got it published. And that makes everyone hopeful that that's how it happens. But it's such a rare, rare, rare thing that, I mean, you just don't take those outliers as the way the publishing world works. It just doesn't.
Also,
But
we don't
I
really like
totally
those
agree.
people.
What's that?
Also, we don't really like those people.
Well, exactly. Yeah, but one of the things you mentioned earlier on was when you're writing that you had members of your family or friends reading pages as you were writing and that you wouldn't do that again. Can you talk about that? We love
Oh,
them,
I
by
can
the
try
way.
that.
Thanks,
Pardon
Nancy.
me?
I said we love your family and friends. Thank you,
Oh,
but
yes.
also,
I mean, that was an amazing experience. And I don't regret having done that as I wrote my first novel. It kind of started with like, I'm not sure that I knew I was writing a novel, because it was such a visual event that was happening in my head. I mean, I pretty quickly figured it out, obviously, but um, at first it was like, hey, I did this like thing, want to read it? Like, the first 10, 15 pages and some friends were like, yeah, sure. And it kind of snowballed. Other people asked. My family started to ask. I had this amazing experience where my entire extended family used to go to a cottage every summer. And I had family members talking about my characters as I was writing. Like I was
amazing.
literally sitting there typing and they are debating something that happened like 10 chapters ago,
Oh,
that I had sent them. And everyone was wonderful and positive, and it was very motivating.
okay.
Um, I think now, again, back to the point of not knowing what you don't know. Now I know how shitty a first draft is.
Yes.
Now I'm kind of appalled by first draft. At the time, I wasn't. My first drafts tend to be quite polished, which is not a good thing because, that polish hides
Mm.
big problems.
Sounds really good, but there's holes
Yeah,
or structure issues
it's
or
pretty, but yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, I think partly it's that, I don't want to share first draft because I know how much work it's going to take to get it to the story that you actually want to put out into the world. And how many times are those lovely people going to actually read your work? Um, but also, what is my second point? But also, oh, Natalie, I had a really profound thing to
Wait,
say.
let's just imagine that it was I have a colleague of ours, Caroline Topperman, and I did a presentation a few weeks back in September, I guess. And our slides didn't work. Like
Oh
they
yeah.
didn't have it set up for the slides, which is fine because we knew that that might happen. But also we were like, oh, but they're the most beautiful slides you'll ever have
Right?
seen. Unfortunately, you can't see them.
Yeah.
So
Your life will have been changed,
that's
if
right.
only.
Yeah, right.
It will come to me.
It will
What we
come
were
to you
talking
for sure.
about family, reading. Oh, also, you know, the feedback that they give is shit.
Yeah,
It's so supportive and
I
it's so
know.
wonderful,
Which feels
um,
nice. It
which
does
feels
feel
nice,
nice.
but
Yeah.
it's not the kind of feedback that's going to make you a better writer.
Yeah.
And so I think at every possible moment, knowing what kind of feedback you need
Hmm.
and articulating that to the people reading your work is really important. For example, when I was just before I went to Query Agents, my godmother, who used to be a magazine editor, was reading my last draft of my last novel, and my mom said, "Oh, I'll read it." And I looked at her and I said, "Okay, but just so you know, you can only say good things because she's my
Excellent.
mom."
Yeah.
And
That's
not that she would have said anything wrong, but like she's not the person from whom I want critical
yeah.
feedback,
Yeah. 100%.
because she's my mom.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's another reason why I wouldn't do it again, or I would do it very, very selectively. And I think being very explicit with people who are reading your work about what you want them to focus on, what questions you have, what kind of feedback you need to hear, Um, Even with, because I also have a book coach for this new book, I'm putting my money where my mouth is.
Mhm.
When I sent her kind of what I had done so far so she could get caught up and we could move forward together, I did tell her, I mean, she wasn't doing any kind of assessment. It was just for her own kind of situational awareness. And I did say, so just so you know, I need you to tell me that it's really good.
Yeah, that's right. Let's start there.
Let's start there. All right.
No, I think that's just such good advice, especially like if somebody has like wants to use beta readers, giving them particular questions about what they want to hear back about. Because if you just say like, I just want comments about the entire book, that is overwhelming, especially for somebody who's reading your book as a favor and who's maybe not an author themselves, and like it's a big ask, like, but to be specific then kind of gives them some guidelines and parameters, much more useful.
It's a huge ask of anyone. And also, yeah, to your point, the feedback you get won't always be useful
Yeah,
if they don't know how if they don't know what you're looking for and how to give good feedback.
yeah, and that is a skill in itself for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So lessons
um
learned.
yeah, well, I mean, I think that's all important. Like, and if I think back to different times and different things I've done with different books, like um I don't think that anything is necessarily a wrong because you learn from it, but you might not do it again. Right? Like I'll try this differently. I'll try this process instead. Like it's kind of a way of figuring out what works best for you and your process.
Yeah.
But I think that's amazing that family members were, just eating up that story. They wanted to know more and they wanted to read more pages. Like that is motivating. Like I'm not
Man,
sure that any of my family members have read all my books. Let's put it that way.
I
Maybe.
mean, it wasn't all of my family members, but also
Yeah.
let's be honest, like they stuck it out for like 200,000
That's
words.
incredible, right?
They
That's
might
like
not
Game
have
of
done that
Thrones.
if they knew how big it was going to be, but it was
Yeah, you
over
don't
for
tell them how long it's going to be, just chapter by chapter. Here you go. So good.
drip feed.
Can we talk a little bit about another element of your book coaching? Because I love what you said about it so much, which was kind of in the magic zone, because I know that you love magical realism. I love magical realism, magic, sort of, I don't know, tarot is involved in that. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I can, but can you give me a more specific question or reframe a little bit? So
Oh, well, I guess I just love the idea. Well, I'm so interested in all things I want to use the word otherworldly. I'm not sure if that's right, but I'm so interested in astrology and tarot and magic, and not because I'm totally a believer, but because
exactly.
it fascinates me
Yeah.
that and that we have it's not just like some people have these vague ideas, but they have very in-depth, detailed, knowledgeable understanding of the world through that lens. And I find it captivating. And I think that's my writer brain, maybe. And so do I believe in astrology? I don't know. Do I watch videos about astrologies for Aries? Yes, I do.
Are you an
It,
Aries? I am too.
oh my gosh, I think they might be sisters because so much of what you've said already is like, yep, 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 sounds right, sounds right.
I am the same. Am I a firm believer? I'm just making up a term that makes no sense. I'm an optimistic skeptic. An
Oh, I like
optimistic
that.
skeptic.
I like that. I think I am too.
Yeah.
Let's just start that term.
I feel like I'm open to things. I live so in my head
Yeah.
constantly at every moment of the day. So I'm fascinated by people's intuition about their just about different ways of being in the world, different ways of knowing. And it again circles back. This is going to be like do you name your episodes? This is going to be the name of your episodes. You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm a big believer in science, but also science is like the culmination of what we know at this moment in time.
Yes.
And yet we
That's what I
treat it,
think too, that we
right?
know so much and there's so much we just don't understand that is beyond
Exactly.
and I, not that I don't think we're going to get there. We probably will over, hundreds of years, but there's so much out there that we just don't have a handle on and can't explain. And so I love that answer.
Yeah. So like you, am fascinated by all kinds of ways of being in the world that are not my own experience. Why I seek to then understand them somehow in writing, I don't know. The novel that I wrote from that hospital bed started out as not really a story about my great grandfather, but inspired by him. He was a faith healer, which I didn't know until I was about 13 or so, and we were watching 60 Minutes, and my mom walked in the room, and there was, I don't know why my voice is getting shaky, but there was this segment on, some like big tent revival faith healer. And my mom walked in and said, "Oh, my grandfather used to do that." I was like, "What?
Oh,
What are you talking about?" And so I learned he didn't do like the big tent thing, but he lived on a farm outside of Skeed.
yes.
Actually, all the land, I think, around the airport
Yeah. Oh, I think I lost your audio.
was land that my
Okay.
family owned. And in the winter, he would go to the logging camps. Oh,
I think you're good
are we
now.
there? Okay.
I don't know. Just
In the
lost.
winter, he would work in logging camps. And is it good now?
Yeah, it's
Can you
just
hear me?
laggy.
Oh, maybe I'll switch
It
audio.
might be my internet as well.
Is it better
That's
now?
that's better now. Yeah.
Okay. I'll just unplug this. So my great grandfather, very humble man, a farmer, he worked in logging camps in the winter. He was very, very religious, and people would come to him and he would pray and lay his hands on them. Um, and I was thinking one day, wow, that would be a different story if he were born a woman.
Hmm.
And that is the book that poured out of me about a woman who has not the gift of healing, but well, in a sense she does, but she comes from a long line of women who each had some kind of elemental magical ability, and hers was around fire. I don't even remember why I chose that. I'm not sure I consciously did, but and this faith healer comes to town, and she recognizes for the first time something of herself in another person, but she doesn't tell him anything about herself. But they fall in love and they get married. And when he finds out about her ability, it terrifies him. And he thinks that he has maybe been called by God to heal her. And then, of course, they go on to have three daughters who each have their own ability. And it's a story of a family who love each other so much, but there are big questions about what is unconditional love, and he just grapples so much with these daughters who he doesn't understand and he can't understand because their way of being in the world is different. And to me, that was really what the heart of the story was. It was about how we privilege some ways of being in the world over others.
Hmm.
And what I found so fascinating is one of the editors in my writing program made a comment about in my opening pages about the kind of the magical realism elements. And she was talking about Eloise's ability to manipulate fire. And she was not speaking about Matthew's ability to heal through prayer, which of course is equally as magical realism.
Right. Right.
But even to her,
Yeah.
that was somehow okay.
Yeah.
And this other thing was fantastical.
That's
Um,
amazing.
so I don't know how we got there,
I don't
but
know, but that is so fascinating. First, I love, was it your great grandfather who was the healer?
yeah,
Like, I love those family stories, those nuggets of information that come and so often so offhandedly. Like, it's not like people tell you, oh, guess what? out of the blue. It just is a remark, and it's just ripe with story, and that led you to this idea that became this book. I just think that's so fascinating. I too am, maybe my fascination with this stuff comes from my grandmother as well, because she apparently, I never knew her, but she apparently could, like, she would know if somebody died in Finland
Yeah.
because she'd dream about it the night before, and then she'd tell the family, oh, so and so died, and then a couple days later they'd get the news that yes, so and so had died on that night and had visited her, or whatever had happened. I don't really know. And she was highly superstitious and all kinds of things. So I think she was a fascinating person. And I there are other members of my family who have some pretty unique abilities. I don't think I do, but I'm so fascinated when they talk about them, which, a lot of people who have any kind of foresight or intuition that's strong or whatever, they tend not to let others know too frequently.
Yeah.
So there's something there like that I can't explain. But they're family members who I can't sort of go, oh no, I don't believe you. Like, I believe your experiences are your experiences.
Yeah.
And I love that, like, fiction is a great way to explore those ideas and be able to kind of like grapple with um things that in our everyday life maybe we, we don't necessarily want to talk as openly about, I guess.
Yeah, and I'm going to be like brutally honest, picking up on something that you said. So, all my grandmother, who is the daughter of that faith healing great grandfather,
Yeah,
and all of her siblings, all of her sisters knew when someone had died.
they
They
did.
would
Yeah.
get the phone would ring,
Yeah.
and just there was always a thing.
Yes.
And I wonder, this is the brutally honest part.
Yeah.
I've always kind of felt like maybe there's something in me if I could only get out of my head.
Right.
And maybe writing about it is the way I'm trying to do that.
Maybe that's
We're
maybe
getting deep.
that's true. Huh. Now
I
I'm
don't
going to
know.
be thinking about that all day
Yeah.
because maybe that's how we're dealing with it. Because on the one hand, and I know this to be true about my mother as well, she really rejected her mother's beliefs and superstitions and sort of abilities. And I've asked her about that before, and she said, "Well, no, I just won't go there. I shut that down." Almost
Mm,
out to say, well, I
yeah.
have that too, but I won't allow that to be a thing.
Yeah.
So part of her grew up kind of pushing that away. And yet I think maybe um, she made that conscious decision not to be attuned to those.
Yeah.
I don't even know feelings. I don't know what you'd even call them, but I love the idea that as writers we can explore them and contemplate them, but maybe too, like, not to say that I have any abilities of any kind, but just the idea that part of me is so curious and part of me is like, I don't want to deal with that. Like, it's a
Right.
little,
Yeah. No, I
in
know.
fiction it's safe because I can put my pen down and that's good. Great. Got that on the page. But in
Yeah.
reality, I'm not sure how much I can handle.
Yeah. And also, it's just fun to read. I just enjoy
Yeah,
it.
it's fun. Yeah.
I mean, it's often the magic in a book is so allegorical.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't know, I just take pleasure in it.
I did too.
But back to your question about, because you mentioned tarot and stuff,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I think what you might have been getting at is, so the name of my book coaching business is called Six of Wands Tarot.
Oh, yes.
Sorry, that's not what it's called. Six of Wands Coaching.
Yes.
But it based on the tarot card. And the reason for that, like, I am in no way a tarot expert at all. But I do like to play. And when I'm doing stuff around writing, the frequency with which I get the Six of Wands is a little bit eerie and ridiculous. And what I love about that card, especially in the deck that I have, I really want to show you, but I won't. It's a podcast. Um, the deck that I have that I love the most is called The Wild Unknown, and it shows this kind of the tangle of all of the kind of branches of wands. At the bottom, it's very dark and heavy, and then it gets lighter, and there's this blue butterfly coming up. into the scene, into the light. And the Six of Wands is really a card that represents victory. It represents recognition. But what it really represents is kind of inner triumph after struggle. And I think that is just what writing is.
Yeah,
It is inner
it
triumph
really is.
after struggle.
Yeah,
And it
that's
represents
perfect.
the whole journey to me. And
Yeah.
because I don't want writers, I mean, it's a crucible no matter what you do. But because I don't want writers to have that experience that I had of being so paralyzed, I want to kind of guide them to that inner triumph after
I
struggle.
love that so much. That's so good. Oh my gosh, Natalie, this has been so fun to chat with you.
Yes.
And I mean, we've known each other a little bit through Book Coaches Canada, but I had no idea how much we had in common. We could go on and on about our love of historical fiction and magical realism. And I think it's really, this is really about curiosity about the world too, right? And that's what we need as writers is to be curious and open-minded and explore ideas. And you're doing that with your fiction and you're doing that with your book coaching. And it's exactly what people need. It's exactly what women writers need is to have that space to be curious and explore and follow their writing and see where it takes them and be supported in that way. So keep doing the great work. I love it. And I really appreciate this conversation. I had so much fun and I wish we could just talk all day, but we'll have to do it again sometime.
Yeah,
Thanks,
it has been
Natalie.
so much fun. Thank you for inviting me, for asking me. It's been really great. And congratulations on your new book that's just come out. I can't wait to read it.
Thank you. Thanks. I appreciate it. Do you have writing goals that you want to achieve in 2025? If you need support, encouragement, accountability, and community, join the Women Writing Circle. We meet bi-weekly to set writing goals and get pages done. Go to Women Writing on Substack and subscribe. Let's create a little magic this year. Thanks for taking time out of your schedule to have a coffee break with us at Women Writing. Don't forget to subscribe to Women Writing on Substack. If you like this episode, share it with someone who needs a writing break and a little inspiration. Happy writing! Thank you to Michael Jensen for his original music and editing, and to Mia Jensen for the logo design.